I became involved in the green building program that we have here in Santa Rosa about 2.5 years ago. It began officially when the City Council adopted the Green Building Implementation Plan. And from there we began a program of fostering, developing, and organizing and certifying green homes, green remodels, and green buildings in Santa Rosa.
I studied architecture in college and became quickly disenchanted with just the typical ego-driven way of doing design. Since that time, I've just been on a mission to learn more about traditional building techniques and more environmentally sound design.
The goals and the objective of our green building program are to promote healthier living environments, promote building practices, promote design that are respectful of the environment, that try to minimize the use of our natural resources. So we're looking to use products that don't off-gas as much.
There are a whole range of different materials that are used both in natural building and green building. And some of these are earth-derived ways of building. Others are using systems like bamboo, etc. I'd say straw bale construction is sort of leading the pack in terms of its longevity. It's gone through a lot of testing and is fairly conventional. Other systems like earth building systems such as cob, which is taking earth and making a stiff mud of it, is a system that's now coming into the fore. We are using wood, but trying to find ways of using sustainably harvested wood. That's a big piece of the green building movement.
One of the things that we like to do is to use local materials so that we don't have travel costs to bring materials here, using our local climate. We are very fortunate here to have a fairly mild climate, and so we can reduce our energy needs for heating and cooling by good design. The use of passive solar design, which means just basically designing a house to make beneficial use of the sun, which will reduce the overall energy cost, demand, and to the consumer, it's less of a bill.
Designing with the climate is a really big part of all of this work and is probably more important than the actual materials that you use. The orientation of the building is fairly simple. Passive solar design is in principle quite easy. It's a matter of orienting the long side of your building towards the south, putting most of your windows in the south, minimizing the windows in the west particularly, where you'll have the hot, glaring western sun coming in. If you could only do one thing, I'd just say beef up your insulation in the roof.
We had initially had some rough spots between a voluntary and a mandatory program. There were some people that felt that this should be a mandatory program, and that basically means that if you build in a certain area, it has to be green. We chose to take a voluntary route. We felt that our constituency here was ready for it, that the leadership in the city of Santa Rosa and in the surrounding area was such that we could make a voluntary program work.
I'm not a proponent of one system over another. It's more what makes the most sense. You know, I wouldn't necessarily do a geodesic dome or something like that right here in downtown. It doesn't fit architecturally, it doesn't make much sense. So it's more of looking at what are the techniques that are available, what makes the most sense, what's legal, and what is going to, create the most economic and ecological option depending on what the situation is.
So it's a holistic approach to building, remodeling, restoring. It's really a whole way of looking at how we build a building and how we interact with a building and how we design a building.
5 to 40% of our global resources go into the building and maintenance of our buildings. Really, as fuel prices go up and up, those sorts of systems are going to make a lot more sense financially as well as ecologically.
The success, of course, has been that we've introduced it and it's catching on like crazy. In fact, we have had a hard time keeping up with the demand. I would say that green building is really smart building.
All this work is about trying to make beautiful places for people while minimizing the impact on the larger global climate.